What is up, everyone? Renfail here, and I finally wrapped up my adventure in New World Aeternum during the open beta weekend that just took place on the Xbox, PlayStation, and PC for New World's Revamped Edition, which is launching on October 15th. Now, I've previously played this game when it first came out. You can actually find some videos on my channel from back when this first came out. And I did enjoy the game when it launched. I played it as a single-player RPG with some friends who we went and did some dungeons with a little bit as well. And the game, like much newly released MMOs at the time released, it was fun. It had some bugs. It had some performance issues. And over the past 3 years, Amazon has put a ton of content into this game and a ton of polish. And the version of the game that I just played is completely different than what I played 3 years ago when this game first came out. This is extremely polished. I did it on the PS5 over the weekend, which is what we're on right now. I'm in 4K mode on the PS4 right now. There's various graphics modes that you can play with. And generally speaking, I was very, very, very pleased with this. Had a fairly flawless experience with the open beta. This is my review of that experience. I had one crash through the whole weekend. Leveled up to 25. We're max level right now for the. I think 25 is the max level for the beta. And had a good time. And we had a great turnout for the streams and the videos and everything else. And I just like to give my review of this because this is so different than what launched. And I've done some videos on my early thoughts and should you buy this game? And I think there are some caveats to that conversation. But generally speaking, if you're someone who has never played this game before and you're looking at something to fill the gap and you've got time in October, I think it's going to be absolutely worth your time to pick this up and play, because it's a 3-year-old game that has a ton of content. It looks great, as you can see behind me. It's got a lot of different things going for it. There's a lot of different things you can do. And the best part is that they've kind of stripped the MMO component out of it now, and they've made this largely a single-player RPG that exists within an MMO space, so that if you want to go do group-based stuff, you can, but you don't have to. And they have streamlined the storyline now, added a whole bunch of new cutscenes, and a brand new storyline for much of the main story, the MSQ. And added a brand new introductory quest line. They added archetypes now so that you can choose from an archetype when you start the game. It's not a class per se. You still have freedom to pick whatever weapon combinations you want in the game. It's kind of a guiding system at the beginning, which kind of dictates like your cosmetic gear to a little degree. It's like, here's a starting set of gear and a couple of skills. This is your archetype. Like I chose Archer. Or Ranger, which is a bow and a spear. There's also like Musketeer, which was rifle, and it's a musket and a rapier. And then the build that I played at launch, which was I just did the Ice Mage. I did Ice Gauntlet and Rapier at start. They have that. It looks like it's like a starting archetype now. So they basically just spent the past 3 years adding a bunch of content to this game. They added mounts. They've streamlined everything. They've polished everything. There's some players running by on mounts right now. The big thing about the Aeternum version of the game is that it is a cross-platform project. So when it first launched, it was PC only, and it has been PC only for the past 3 years. This new version of the game that is coming out on October 15th is launching for the Xbox, the PlayStation 5, and will put it in parity with the PC version so that everybody's going to be playing together in the same space when this comes out in mid-October. If you already own this game, like I do, on the PC, then you've already played some of this before. You'll be familiar with the gameplay loop. The gameplay loop is largely the same in terms of you go out, it's action, combat, and you have all the different types of weapons you could take a look at. We can go in here and say, here's the map. It's a big map. There's lots of stuff to do on this map. You've got the same character builds that you've known forever. The weapon masteries are still here. All the trade skills are still here. The optional PvP, should you choose to participate, it is in here. There is a new seasonal track that's starting with October 15th, and there's going to be gear and rewards related to the seasonal tracks. You'll be able to go through the seasons. There's a lot of stuff to do in terms of activities and other things. The PvP, by the way, is 100% optional. It's off by default, as I understand it. It's consensual if you want to turn it on, or you can go do like the PvP specific things, which are in their own areas. Otherwise, you have a bunch of PvE activities. Again, all of the storyline from level 1 to max level now is completely soloable. You don't need a group for any of it, and you don't have to do any side quests that I've seen to be able to keep your level up. You just run the main quest, and that's all you can do if you want. And based on what we've been talking to people about so far in the open beta, it's looking like there is around 50 hours of content just in playing the single player storyline from start to finish, which is a pretty sizable chunk of gameplay in terms of sinking your teeth into something that you might have never played before. But there's a whole lot outside of the main quest line. There's side quests. There are the outposts. Outposts have levels, and they are community oriented. So the way it works is, if you look on the map here, let me pull this out of the way here, this window. Like these outposts right here, like where's it at here? Windsward. Here. Oh, down here. This settlement. Settlements have levels, and you can help level up a settlement with the other players in a community by participating in the mission board quests, which are optional. But it's things like harvesting, crafting, killing mobs, gathering things, and then that directly ties into the crafting stations for the town and how cool the crafting stations are. The crafting stations have tiers, which are tied to the level 8 of the settlement. There's also housing in these settlements. There's a lot of different settlements throughout the game. There's just tons of stuff to see and do across this island. There's a great storyline, which I talk about how it's kind of a little bit like Lost, in the sense that this island that we're on has been through time and space, and it has seen a lot of different peoples and a lot of different cultures. So you see lots of different architecture. There's like Egyptian stuff and Mayan pyramids and Roman Empire stuff and some science fiction-y elements. There's a lot going on here. So if you think about just the single player storyline is about 50 hours of gameplay, and then outside of that you have a bunch of side quests which add another dozens of hours of gameplay. There's crafting and harvesting, which adds more gameplay. There's the PvE group-based content, if you want to participate in that, which can lead to hundreds of hours of entertainment. The PvP content, which again can lead to more content. I think if you're looking for value for your money, and again, this is mostly for if you are a new player who has never played New World and you're looking at New World Aeternum and thinking to yourself, is this worth it? What's it like? Should I play it? If I had to give a review to the first version of the game when it came out, I would give it a 7 out of 10. It was a fun game. It had typical launch issues, some performance issues, and there was a lot of grind. This is a much more polished edition. What I just played through over this weekend, I would give a solid 8.5 out of 10. It's way more polished. I would say the things that keep it from getting a slightly higher score for me are just little nitpicks that are not game-breaking in any way, shape, or form. A good example of this is that if you go hail an NPC and you're having a conversation with an NPC, I don't think we have any that we're currently doing quests with, but I think there's an NPC right down the road, this guy. So if I were to hail this NPC and talk to him...
Don't worry too much about the ritual.
And you go in here and talk to him. If I get attacked by enemies, it drops me out of the conversation and I have to redo the conversation. I would much prefer if the conversations were not interrupted. So I would prefer it if my character would go into a protected state to where the NPCs can't touch me while I'm in conversation mode. That would be a quality of life thing that I would fix, and that would be something that would up the score a little bit for me. Don't get it twisted, everybody. 8.5 is a magnificent score for a game. I had a great time. I played to level 25 over the course of a little over 12 and a half hours across the open beta. It's fully voiced. It's got cinematic cutscenes. It's got everything that I love when it comes to cinematic narrative storytelling games. And it also has a really fun storyline in terms of like the sci-fi fantasy element. I don't think I will ever play with other people unless it's people I know and I want to go do some like dungeons with them. Otherwise, I would just stick to just doing like the storyline. Let's actually, if I want to go down here really quick, actually. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. Cool structures, really cool world building, fully voiced games, cinematic cutscenes that they added over time and with this new edition. 3 years of content that you can play through. There's a lot to see and do if you're coming in as a new player. Now, what if you're not a new player? What if you're someone like me who has played the game before? When I played this at launch, it was a completely different game. The version that I just played over this weekend, there are some elements that I recognize. All right, see you, Chris. Have a great time. There were some elements that I recognized, but for the most part, this felt and played like something completely new. Obviously, the gameplay loop is still the same, but the storyline, 100% completely different compared to what I saw before. They have woven in... I probably shouldn't have said 100% because that's not entirely true. They have woven in some elements of the story that came before. Like the guy we just talked to a minute ago, he was part of the original storyline in the game as one of, I think they're called Soul Wardens. I remember that. And I remembered him from the base game. I was like, I remember this guy's storyline. But the way they've done it now is they've woven him in a completely different manner. So, it's really interesting how they've managed to update this and bring it up. Combat is your traditional kind of action combat stuff. You know, you've got your target lock, you've got various types of abilities. I can switch between weapon types. This is my bow, this is my spear. We're going to block, we're going to do some more stuff, we'll block again. He'll do a combo at some point, and then we kill him. You get some faction, go from there. We probably want to go towards that at some point and figure out what that is. But that's for another time. Because right now we got to go back over here and finish my review. The crafting and harvesting in this game, I would say that this is, you know, you could just play the game just for the storyline if you wanted to. But the game does have a massive crafting and harvesting system, especially if you want to get into contributing towards the settlements and the leveling up of said settlements. But anything you can think about, if you want to craft it, you can. You want to make food and drink? You can do that. You want to make armor? What type? Do you want to make weapons? What kind? There's all these different things, and you can do all of it. Like, all of these crafting, it's over here in the character tab. Just like you can, hang on. I get carried away with the tabs. Just as you can level up all of these, and you can take any weapon in the game, any weapon combo, all the weapon combos if you want, and level them up accordingly. You can also go into the trade skills, and you can do all of these if you want to, and there is a lot. Weaponsmithing, armor smithing, engineering, jewel crafting, arcana, cooking, furnishing, smelting, woodworking, leatherworking, logging, mining, fishing, music, weaving, stone cutting, harvesting, tracking, and skinning, and even a writing skill. And then the reward track, which we talked about earlier. There's also the achievements side of things. So there is a ton going on here. Again, 3-year-old game. So if you're like me and you played it at launch and you haven't played it since there, I haven't done the expansion. So there's a lot of new content that I haven't seen before. And because this game, it has a completely new storyline for the Aeternum launch, even if you did play at launch like I did, it's a brand new game. Which is why I'm going to be coming back and playing it on October 15th. Even though I played this game when it came out, it has a brand new storyline now, and it's a much more polished version of the game, sort of like a relaunch, so to speak. It's less of a relaunch and more of a, hey, we're launching console editions while at the same time bringing the PC edition up to parity with the console edition, so that they're all in the same version, and it's crossplay. So as we've seen across this open beta weekend, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, we're all playing together in the same space. More players in your game is never a bad thing, so I'm pretty excited to see this new version. At the very least, the way I look at it is there's at least 50 hours of gameplay for me as someone who just wants to run the single player storyline. And then if I decided that I wanted to get into this with other people or our gaming community, there's dungeons, there's raids, there's all sorts of different things for group-based players who want to get into the group side of things. So it's easily a game that is on par with other MMOs that have been out several years that offer hundreds of hours of entertainment for the people that like the game. So that's my review on the open beta weekend of New World Aeternum. Highly polished, kind of a flawless, weekend. I had one crash on the PS5. The only bugs I saw were like related to like a little bit of warping due to population, but other than that, fun game. The voice acting is really good in most parts. There are some areas where it's not perfect, but for the most part, it's pretty good. The writing is somewhat tropey in areas, but otherwise a fun adventure. And overall, the world design and the level design is great. There's a lot going on here, a lot to love, a lot of different things to do. You could go wrong in a lot of other areas, but this game does offer a ton of value for the money. I think it's worth your time if you haven't played it before, or if you've played it at the beginning like I did and you want to come back and see what it's like now that they've revamped it and polished it up. If you're one of the other people who've been playing it for a long time and you're still having fun in the game and you're looking forward to this, that's awesome. We're going to be alongside all of you who have been enjoying New World for years, coming in hot on October 15th. I will be multi-streaming, as always, on YouTube and Twitch, but we do have about a month before then to get to that point, and we're playing a lot of games in between then. Most recently, we finished up Star Wars Outlaws. We're in Space Marine 2 right now. We got Shattered Space DLC. We got the Diablo 4 DLC before we even get to this. So hopefully we'll see you in the next live stream, which happens daily here and on Twitch at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Central, and also at around 5 or 6 p.m. in the afternoon. There's a Discord, a Patreon, and a bunch of socials, so we'll see you all there. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, happy gaming. Hopefully you had fun this weekend. I know I did.